Hey, what's up guys, MugenLord here, and today I want to talk about the Nintendo Switch 2. I want to talk about this because right now it's the year 2025, it's the beginning of the new year, and now information, the news is really starting to just trickle out there, especially we're starting to get more information and images of the potential Nintendo Switch 2, and I think it's the fun part of being a gamer is when there's new hardware or when the next generation hardware is coming out for the three competitors, which is Nintendo, Microsoft, and also Sony themselves. And we always wonder what the console is going to look like, how powerful the console is going to be, and what titles are going to release for in terms of whether or not they're going to have third-party support or whether they have a strong first-party lineup coming launch. And it's no different when it comes to Nintendo Switch 2. Now, in this video, I really want to talk about is how the Nintendo Switch 2 is going to stack and how it's going to be able to compete against its competitors, which is the PS5 and the Xbox Series X, since you already know the Nintendo Switch is pretty much outdated at this point, and a lot of third-party titles aren't able to even cross over and release onto the Nintendo Switch. So before we even dive into this video, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell for more gaming content here on this channel. And even before we even talk about the Nintendo Switch 2, I really want to just highlight the fact that the Nintendo Switch itself right here is pretty much one of my all-time favorite console of this generation. I'm surprised how much I have gained more on this compared to my PS5 and my Xbox Series X, despite the fact that those consoles are much more powerful in terms of raw power when it comes to those consoles. But Nintendo Switch has satisfied all of my gaming needs, for the simple fact is, man, it has one hell of a gaming library. If you want JRPGs, Nintendo Switch pretty much had those. I love JRPGs. That's all I play is JRPGs, and of course fighting games as well. And most of my backlog, and this is not all my backlog, I still got a whole shelf over here of Nintendo Switch games, but I still have games that's still in the goddamn plastic when it comes to backlogs of games for the Nintendo Switch. I have more games in my backlog on the Switch compared to my Xbox and also my PS5. And the fact is that Nintendo was able to release such a competent console, despite the fact that the console, as far as raw power, it just doesn't stack up against the PS4, the Xbox One, and now the PS5 and the Xbox Series X. But yet, this console was able to dominate because of the fact is that it was a hybrid console on top of that, where you was able to take your console gaming experience on the go, and I think it nailed it. It was able to take the console experience, take the handheld experience, which Nintendo has always dominated, and now put it into one. So now you can continue your gaming experience from your television screen and now on the go. And I think they had pretty much meshed together well. And it also doesn't help the fact that it also helped the fact is that they were able to release a lot of their games from the Nintendo Wii U and able to port that over, especially at the beginning of the launch year. And we'll dive more into that much later. But yes, this console was very competent for what it was, and now we starting to see how outdated the console is, and now people are ready for the Nintendo Switch 2. So how were they able to improve? How were they able to compete? So of course you have the competitors, you have the PS5 and the Xbox Series X, and there's a lot of things that Nintendo can learn from them as well, because Nintendo's kind of be lagging behind when it comes to features and everything. But the PS5, you know, Xbox Series X does have that raw power, and raw power is not everything, but they do have services, especially like Xbox with the Xbox Game Pass and everything, and also PS5 with their exclusives and things like that. But when it comes to the Nintendo Switch 2, they need to just be more than just console / handheld hybrid. It has to offer more, or it has to offer some things that's on the same lines of the PS5 or in the Xbox Series X. But of course, it's Nintendo. Nintendo always want to add their own twist to it as well. I think the thing that can really hurt the Nintendo Switch 2 is if the console isn't strong enough to play the current PS5 games and the current Xbox Series X games. It doesn't have to be super powerful. It doesn't have to be as powerful as the PS5 or Xbox Series X, but it does need to be powerful enough and competent enough to at least be able to get those third-party releases that the Xbox Series X and the PS5 have, and get those simultaneous releases onto the Nintendo Switch 2 platform, which we're going to get into a little bit later in this video. As long as it has that, as long as it's able to keep up, it doesn't have to be on the same power level, but as long as it's able to keep up with it and get those third-party titles, I think Nintendo Switch 2 is going to be a force to reckon with when it comes to the services and the options that it delivers and it offers to gamers as an alternative to its competitors. So I really think that would definitely help them. Now, there are things that the Switch 2 needs to do in order to improve on what the Nintendo Switch 1 has pretty much been suffering from. I think the most important thing for me as a gamer is the fact is that I want to be able to experience a lot of my Nintendo Switch games, or for the Switch 2, more importantly, I would love to experience a lot of my Nintendo games in 1080p, 60 frames per second. Now, I know a lot of you guys saying 1080p, what about 2K? What about 4K? I don't really care about 4K resolution. I don't care about 2K resolution, whatever the other resolution that's out there at this point. 4K never matters to me. What I care more about is performance. And I would love to have the next Nintendo successor to be able to run at 1080p, 60 frames per second. I don't want to hear any excuses. I want to see 60 frames per second games running, you know, compared to 4K with 30 frames per second. I don't want that. Give me 1080p and 60 frames per second and allow developers to work their darnest to make it the sharpest, the best 1080p and the best 60 frame per second experience ever on the Nintendo Switch 2. And I think that's the way, if you want to grab me more or grab serious gamers who love to game on the Nintendo Switch but also experience PC gaming in other consoles, I think that would be a seller for a lot of gamers as well. And you don't understand, like, it frustrates me when I play Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and 3 on the Nintendo Switch. It frustrated the hell out of me, is because those games are simply beautiful, simply gorgeous. But you see that a game as massive as Monolith Soft Xenoblade 2 and 3 is being held back by the Nintendo Switch hardware, where you see a lot of pop-ins, and the game, even though it has a unique art style, which I really love, but you can still see that it struggles, and even in the visual department, because of the limitation that the hardware has. And the thing is, can you imagine what Xenoblade 2 and even Xenoblade 3 could have been with 60 frames per second, 1080p, and also what Monolith could have been able to do when it comes to actually expanding their worlds even more and put more details into their worlds, if they had the horsepower and the juice to be able to squeeze out of it, to be able to create that ultimate definitive experience for Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and also Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Oh man, that's the part that frustrates me the most. I mean, so many games could have benefited from extra raw power if the Nintendo Switch 1 was able to produce that. Next thing they need to improve on, especially, I think this is really important, in order to see, to be able to see the performance or how well the Nintendo Switch will hold up when it comes to the successor, Nintendo Switch 2, is their launch lineup. Their launch lineup is very important. That normally sets the momentum for consoles. That's what it normally does for most consoles. That sets the momentum, and I think the Switch 2 really needs to pull out all the stops. I think the reason why Nintendo Switch has done so well at launch, and it also surprised the hell out of me. I didn't know what to expect from the Nintendo Switch when it first released on launch. The only thing that I was looking forward to at the time was Breath of the Wild. But what surprised me that year is all about the launch year. You know, the launch is important, launch day, but the launch year is the most important. What games are they going to release and what games are going to deliver within that entire year leading up to the holidays? That's the important thing. And what really shocked me about the Nintendo Switch was the fact is that not only that I got Breath of the Wild, but the fact is that there were so many gamers who didn't get a chance to experience the Wii U because the Wii U was such a failure. I had the Wii U, loved the Wii U, and I believe the Wii U is the Sega Dreamcast of Nintendo, and it has so many great titles, so many great gems that I have that's packed away in storage that a lot of gamers didn't get a chance to experience. So the smart thing and the smart strategy that Nintendo was able to do was take a cross-generation game, which was Zelda Breath of the Wild, bring it over as a actual launch title for the Nintendo Switch, and then on top of that, they threw in Wii U ports. And these Wii U ports wasn't just basic ports. A lot of these ports were definitive edition ports, where it not only had all the DLC content packaged in it, it also got some resolution boost, and everything like that, which I thought was really, really good. And these were filler titles, and these were great titles, especially Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is still a hot selling game of all time this generation anyway, and still making it a shit ton of money right now for Nintendo, and it benefited them. But that was the great part about it, because a lot of gamers didn't experience the Wii U titles. Now they were able to play it. So while they're waiting for AAA Nintendo titles to make their debut on the Nintendo Switch, people who never played these Wii U games now got a chance to experience these Wii U games on the Nintendo Switch. Now, even when it comes to the third-party games, a lot of games that the Wii U missed out as far as third-party is concerned, now a lot of these third-party titles are now able to release on the Nintendo Switch. And then even that year, we got Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and we also got Super Mario Odyssey in the same year. How is that possible? Zelda Breath of the Wild, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and then you're telling me also we're getting Mario Odyssey all in the same year? That was a great launch year with Wii U titles, ports sprinkled in the middle of all of it. I think that was wonderful. And then when it comes to third-party support later on, we got Doom 2016 to release, where many people didn't think it was possible, but id Software was able to make this shit fit on the Nintendo Switch. So that's what really helped the Nintendo Switch in the long run, was because the Nintendo Switch was able to at least get some of these third-party titles and also get some Wii U ports and great first-party titles onto the Nintendo Switch, what carried them. And the fact is that it's also portable and you can carry those gaming experiences on the go, allowed them to dominate. Now when it comes to the Nintendo Switch 2, it's a much different case here. Now Nintendo pretty much ran through a lot of their Wii U ports. I know there's probably Star Fox Zero, probably quite a couple others, but they don't really have a lot to pull from, a lot to drag from when it comes to the Wii U ports. And then of course when it comes to third party as well, they would have to, at least the console had to be competent and strong enough to be able to get some of these third-party ports that the Nintendo Switch that missed out on, but now the Nintendo Switch 2 can get it. So that's something that they would definitely have to really capitalize on, which means they're going to need a strong lineup of first-party within that first year, which means there could be a possibility that we get Metroid Prime 2. Metroid Prime 4, excuse me, they would get Metroid Prime 4. Have that be a cross-generational release that comes out for Nintendo Switch 1, and it also comes out for Nintendo Switch 2. And then, of course, we already long overdue for Mario Kart 9. If they have Mario Kart 9, and we get Metroid Prime 4, and whatever new Mario game that's coming out, and hopefully we get another JRPG to go along with these releases, for the year of the Nintendo Switch 2 release, launch year, I think Nintendo Switch 2 will be able to knock it out of the park. I think that would be something that would make them a winner, and to be able to compete with the PS5 and the Xbox Series X. Now, I think what else is important that Nintendo Switch 2 can do much better than what Nintendo Switch 1 was able to do, is that they had to do a complete overhaul of their online service, or just their online in general. I think when it comes to Nintendo is not known for its online capabilities, even back during the Wii, when the Wii was announced to have online capabilities and people was looking forward to Super Smash Bros. Brawl. Worst experience online. Brawl was the worst experience ever. But besides the fact that every iteration, every console generation of the Nintendo Wii U, their online was just ass, complete ass. I don't really engage in a lot of the online, even on Nintendo Switch. Even when I play Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and I'm directly connected. I'm connected directly. I'm wired, and even with Smash Bros. Ultimate, it's still ass at times. You know, you never really get that good experience. So I think what they need to do is they really need to do a complete overhaul, and it has to meet the standards of what Xbox and Sony has been putting out when it comes to their net codes and when it comes to their online servers and their service and everything. And that's what you need to push forth onto it. But of course, they're Nintendo. I expect Nintendo to innovate as well. I think Miiverse on the Nintendo Wii U, I thought that was pretty cool. They had the Miiverse with your avatars and everything like that. You gotta leave little stickies and notes and stuff like that. So I think if Nintendo revives the Miiverse in some way, update it, upgrade it, and make that a great ecosystem for gamers to be able to come together, fellowship as gamers, communicate with each other, you know, trade you know, friend codes or whatever they want to do, gamer tags and things like that, and create mini games within the Miiverse for people to be able to interact with one another. I think that would be awesome to have as far as an online service for Nintendo Switch 2. And also they need to do something like, I wouldn't say like a Game Pass like, but they also need to improve on how you better get a lot of these retro titles, because these virtual consoles, it takes so long to be able to get a lot of these releases over. So they need to really work on that as well. And then of course, built-in storage. I think built-in storage is very, very important for the Nintendo Switch too. Have more storage space by default. It's built into the Switch itself, because to me, like I said before, getting additional storage can be quite expensive at times for these consoles. And the thing that kills a lot of people is that not only did they have to buy the console, then they would have to buy extra storage out the gate in order to be able to install and download the games that they wanted to be able to install on their Nintendo Switch. And I think for people to get that ease of access to these games and be able to get the most out of their Switch without them have to kick extra money for extra storage, I think it should have a medium range of storage that they could have built into the Nintendo Switch 2. I think that would also be great for the console. And then also, it's finding that perfect price point. Nintendo's also known for creating consoles to always like make a profit. Every console they make is a profit. I think it's the Wii U. I think the Wii U, or maybe the GameCube, is one of these Nintendo consoles, the first Nintendo consoles where they sold the console at a loss. And I think that if they want to be competitive, they need to have a competitive price that doesn't scare away casuals and families. Nintendo's still known as a family platform, a casual platform, and I think that's another reason why the Nintendo Switch has sold so well as well, because it was quite affordable for people, where you get that hybrid console and handheld experience. Not only you to play on your television screen, but you're able to take it on the go, and it was quite affordable for people. So I think the Nintendo Switch 2 needs to follow up on that. It needs to find a nice price range for gamers, because if you make it too hardcore of a price because you want to push emphasis on raw power, then it's also going to scare a lot of casuals and families away from it as well. Because if you're going to, especially if it's not going to be as powerful as the PS5, if it's not going to be as powerful as the Xbox Series X, and now you raise the price to this console, to the successor, which is Switch 2, why would casuals or families want to spend all that money on something like this when they can just go out and get the most powerful console, which is either the Xbox Series X or the PS5, at that price point and everything? They might as well just upgrade to something much more powerful, much more efficient and stuff like that. So that's something that they really have to find a sweet spot for. So I'm gonna be curious to see what the price is going to be, and I'm looking forward to that. And then of course, the thing they need to avoid the most, that they definitely need to avoid, is their marketing. They really got to get their marketing together. I think the thing that had hurt the Wii U the most was because there was mixed messaging when it came to the Wii U, and most people didn't understand what the Wii U was. Like I said, even my daughter's mother, when she came in and saw me playing on the Wii U when the Wii U launched, she came over and she said to me, "Oh, that's the new add-on, or like to the new controller for the Wii." She literally thought that it was an add-on to the Wii. She thought it was just a controller or an accessory to the Wii. She didn't even know that the Wii U was a next generation console and a follow-up to Nintendo Wii. And I think the way what Nintendo do is to avoid that. I know they're naming it, or people are speculating that they're naming it the Nintendo Switch 2. If they're going to name it the Nintendo Switch 2, then they're definitely going to have to market it assist to let people know that, hey, Nintendo Switch 2 is a next generation console. It is a successor. It is a follow-up to the original Nintendo Switch. We're going to be offering better technology, like better hardware, much more powerful games that take advantage of the Nintendo Switch 2 hardware. So they definitely need to put emphasis on that. And they also they will probably have to make the Nintendo Switch 2 physically look different, much different than the Nintendo Switch 1, in order for it to stand out, for people to know the difference between the Switch 1 and the Switch 2. And I think if they nail that and don't fuck up the marketing behind it, they confuse gamers, casual gamers and families, I think they'll do well. And then also, where does it stand in terms of power? People still don't know yet. Some people are saying that it's just as strong as the Xbox Series S. Some people are saying it's just a bit more stronger than the PS4 Pro, but it's nowhere near the Xbox Series S. We just don't know. But all I can say is that it has to just be competent enough to be able to play a good portion of the third-party games that the Xbox Series X and the PS5 is able to play. As long as they have that, and then followed by a good first-party lineup, I think they'll be good to go. And then the talks that we talked about with that a potential VR component also coming to the Nintendo Switch 2. I think they may have something going on, and the fact is that Nintendo Switch 2 is also confirmed to be backwards compatible. Now I can take my library, which I was worried about. I was worried about that I wouldn't be able to play my backlog and stuff over there as well. I was worried I wasn't going to be able to play my backlog on the Nintendo Switch 2, which means I would have to keep my Nintendo Switch 1 active in order to play my backlog of Switch games while having a whole separate category or a separate section for my Nintendo Switch 2 and Nintendo Switch 2 games. But no, like, we don't have to worry about that. We're going to have backwards compatibility of Switch 1 games on Nintendo Switch 2. So what Nintendo's doing is very smart. They want to be able to keep that player base because they built a large player base. This is something that Sony is trying to put emphasis on, and damn sure Microsoft is trying to do that too. It's all about your library. It's all about keeping that momentum that you have. This is why PS5 is still trying to depend on PS4 users when they create their games, because they're inflated, bloated budgets. So they continue to still release games on the PS4. They still can tap into their player base. Well, with Nintendo Switch 2, they still have the Nintendo Switch 1 player base carried over to the Nintendo Switch 2, because if you buy Nintendo Switch 2, I can still play Nintendo Switch 1 games. So they still have that player base that can carry over. And then, of course, I believe they're going to probably be able to carry over your digital license over to Nintendo Switch 2, so you can still carry on while having the opportunity to experience what Nintendo Switch 2 games has to offer as well. And yes, I think that's the only way they're able to compete is if they have a competent launch year, competent first party releases, and able to competently be able to play third party games on their platforms, which means we'll be able to see ports of PS5 and Series X games that Switch didn't get, and now we can get definitive ports similar to how Wii U ports went over to the first Switch. So I think that will be the best way they'll be able to compete and overhaul over their online infrastructure. All that will work. So that pretty much wraps up this video. I think Nintendo Switch 2 is going to be pretty good. I have faith. I have confidence in it. I think it's going to do really, really well for itself. And I definitely want to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. What do you think about the Nintendo Switch 2 and what it may be able to offer and how it'll be able to stand alongside the PS5 and the Xbox Series X? So if you like the video, hit the like button, subscribe button for more gaming content here on this channel. This is MugenLord signing off. I'll see you game fiends later. Peace out.